Call the roll.
Dick Olby,
Here.
Aaron Bennett, Bill Connor,
Here.
Ron Hembold,
Here.
Dennis Otto,
Here.
Lee Trucks.
Here. Approval of agenda. I think you all have copies of the agenda. Any additions or corrections or deletions? Motion's in order.
Move to approve. I'll second it.
Moved and supported to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes. I think you've all been given minutes of the last meeting, which was October 2nd. Any additions or corrections? Move to approve. Motion to approve. Second.
I'll second.
Moved and support to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Public comment on agenda-related items. There is none. Moving on. New business, West Shore Community College. We have an application for certificate of appropriateness, I see.
This application came in yesterday, so I brought it to your attention today. The applicant is here in attendance and will be giving a presentation about some renderings and some potential projects moving forward at 400 River Street.
Good afternoon. My name is Kendra Thompson. I'm architect here in town. It's interesting to see some new members that I'm not familiar with, so thank you for being part of the Historic District Commission. It's a unpaid and sometimes a non-appreciated position, but thank you for being there. Those of you that don't know me, I'm a native of Manistee. Went off and got my smarts, or supposed smarts, some years back, and both my husband and I moved back to town in 1989. I hung out my shingle in 1990, and here we are going on almost 30 years later. So I'm sure you may not realize it, but as you wander around town and interact in buildings and facilities and that, I suspect that you're probably touched by some projects that I've had a hand in one way or another, good and bad. So I do work all over western and northern Michigan. And so this Milliken's building, and Glicks as the younger crowd calls it, or the newer people call it, I grew up as a teenager working at Milliken's. So this building is near and dear to me. I'm very familiar with it, both as it existed back in the 70s and as it was added on to and renovated in the 80s. So now here we are in 2019, and we're going to make every attempt we can to take it into its new life that will hopefully last years beyond my life. It's a building that has been a thorn for many members in the community, certainly this group here, and was an instrumental building in developing exactly what your role is to oversee a historic district commission so that we're able to have our wonderful downtown National Register district that has facilities, buildings that are cohesive and compatible. And obviously this one, when it was built in the 80s, was not of the mindset of being cohesive and compatible with its surroundings. So fortunately, we have a new building owner, West Shore Community College, that has been very successful in doing previous building projects. This is their first off-campus type project of this nature, where they're collaborating with other agencies. So this is a collaboration with West Shore Community College being the owner of the building, but the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce will be a collaborative partner, and will have their offices in this building. Networks Northwest, which Networks Northwest facilitates a number of programs, most notably Michigan Works. So Michigan Works, Networks Northwest, Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce, and the college itself will have a presence in this building. I did a similar type project, not with the college, but numerous nonprofit agencies working together in a collaborative fashion on a project that we completed about 3 years ago down in Ludington called Lakeshore Resource Network. And this is being modeled somewhat after that, where we have central common lobby, reception area, 2 large meeting rooms / classrooms that can serve for multiple functions and uses. And then we have office space that is much more of an open, collaborative, shared office type spaces, as well as what we call small group rooms. So if I were a business owner and I needed to have a space to available to me to meet with someone, I could plug into a small group room down there, as well as up to 6 to 8 people to 12 people, all the way to a classroom space of 25 to 30, or combining the 2 large meeting classroom spaces to a group of just shy of 100. So it's multifaceted in its use. It's a great fit for this. And so the reason we're here today is to talk about the exterior of it. So Kyle put up the rendering that we have on this. Obviously we're using college funds, which are taxpayers' dollars, and so we need to be prudent but also the college wants to make sure that we're making a mark in a positive manner on the community. So what you're seeing is a design that utilizes the bones of what's there and enhances them. So I don't have a pointer.
Oh,
Do you-
here.
Do you have a pointer?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help.
Yep, that red.
That'll work?
Yep, the red.
Okay. So what you're seeing here, that parapet line right there is the existing parapet line. That is the height of the existing building, okay? So what we're proposing to do is at the corner at River and Maple, pop it up with a cornice line. At the mid-south entrance, do the same, and then wrap that around the very southwest corner. On the north elevation, we'll just wrap that corner with a new brick pilaster at both the east and west corners. And then, again, this is on the river side, the north elevation, pop it up right here in this middle area. So that cornice line element that we have specified is about 4 feet, 4.5 feet actually in height, and it projects out about 18 inches. So proportionate-wise, it's in keeping with what a historic structure would have. It's a polymer fiberglass type component, and it gets painted once it's installed, and unless you go up there and knock on it, you won't know if it's the old, real, turn-of-the-century metal or fiberglass. We will, at the very top of it, just like we would on even an original historic structure, we'll have a cap, and so that's our metal cap that would be the termination of our roofing element. Then what you're seeing in this whole area, right now the existing building is all stucco. So what we're doing is, starting at the base, we're going in and setting in a concrete curb. So most people probably, unless you really looked at the building, don't realize that from this corner here at the east, all the way down to the west corner, has a drop of not quite a foot in slope. So that single door that was the shipping and receiving door when it was Milliken's, and probably when it was Glick's too, is two small steps up, okay? So in order to deal with that, we're gonna go in and set in a concrete curb along this base. And that curb will be horizontal. So the top of it will be horizontal. It will be level, okay? And then the sidewalk will slope as the sidewalk naturally slopes. What that'll do is accomplish a couple of things. It'll give us a line to then set brick, okay? It also will give us a line that will help in some manner to keep the snowplow from hacking the base of this wall up, okay? So what you're seeing here, and at this elevation, you really don't see that concrete curb too much because it's only a couple inches at that point, okay, above what the sidewalk is. But then that 2 feet dimension right there is brick, followed by a cast stone cap. We're carrying a brick detailing pilaster up the wall at these key places, you know, these key corners here. And then the rest of it is stucco. And that's the original stucco, with the exception of these upper, I'll call them transom panels. These upper panels are an applied extra layer of stucco. So it gives us some dimension, simulates what a historic structure might have, and it gives us the ability to do some difference of paint colors to give us a little bit of accent detailing. So this area right in here is stucco with the intent of we're gonna paint it a color that's going to complement the brick. And then this is stucco painted in a 2-color scheme that gives us that differentiation level. And with it being lighter, it's intentionally lighter color, so it draws our eye up. So it helps this building to start proportionally feel higher than it really is. And this line that you're seeing right here is just a painted line where the existing stucco has a step in it. If you go down there after our meeting or sometime you're walking by, you'll see that the existing stucco has about a 2-inch step out at that point. So we'll use it to our benefit and let us have a differentiation line establishing there. Then what you're seeing right here, and actually right here is probably the better place to see it, is what we'll call an intermediate crown molding piece. Again, that's a piece of fiberglass that's about a foot high, projects out about 8 or 10 inches. Similar to what you would see on our historic buildings, just at that kind of that upper level floor line, you know, above the lower or main level window transoms. So that's what we're kind of trying to define something that's in keeping with the proportions of our historic buildings. So doors and windows, in this case, this is a aluminum storefront system, similar location to what the existing corner is. If you remember right, we have red aluminum storefront there. We're replacing it with new. All the storefront is intended to be done in a patina green color. The college has adopted those colors, not that we're held to that, but we think it fits for this scenario as well as what they have going on their campus. But patina green aluminum storefront system. These windows here and there are in a similar location to where existing windows are, or existing storefront, but they're larger here. We've tried to open this up a little bit more and get some more of that storefront feeling to this big box building. And then this is that south entrance where right now the revolving door is. And we'll be pulling that whole assembly out. That revolving door will go away, but we'll be replacing that with aluminum storefront and hinge doors. We also will be, right now, at this south entrance area, it has a step up at that point, one step up. We're gonna still have one step up, but we're also going to have part of that area, we'll get a handicap ramp in there on the outside. So, and then lastly, you're seeing what's intended to be some canvas awnings, simple canvas awnings with a little bit of, some type of a ticking stripe canvas awning. At this time, we're not prepared to talk about the signage, although conceptually, I think both the college as well as their partners are in favor with the signage being somewhat like what we're indicating it here. But we'll come back for signage review and approval. But the key is to keep it simple, proportionate, not overwhelming. On the south side, on the north side, on the river side, what you're seeing here is, again, at this corner here, that's a brick pilaster with that crown or cornice line wrapping that. Same thing here. And then in the middle, this is brick, and that's a piece of brick pilaster. The rest of this area here is the existing stucco being painted, okay? These are new windows, much larger than what's there now, and not necessarily in the similar location, but slightly different. This is where our two big classroom spaces are. These are new punch windows. Again, this is all aluminum storefront, fixed windows. We're simulating them proportionately to a historic window with a vertical orientation and an upper transom window to them. These are punch windows in the offices. So. Then, you probably don't realize what this lower level currently is right now. So we have our covered parking area that exists, and right now there's just a single door that takes you into a lower level entry, very uninviting. That entry area is going to become enhanced. We're adding an elevator, and an elevator equipment room is the only addition to this building, and that's what you're seeing right there. That's about 8-foot addition beyond where the original existing door entry is, coming off of that lower level. And that would be clad in brick, and then that would be brick, and then everything below that line right there, going down, would be brick, okay? So right now, there's what I'll call T111 siding that goes across here. And there's no usable space in this area. In fact, if you went into this entry off of the covered parking area into that door, walked through the electrical room that's right there, and if you got to about that point and opened up the door, you're gonna see dirt. So you're gonna see concrete columns and concrete beams and dirt, okay? So the college having the foresight that this is some valuable space, let's do this right, and let's build this out as a potential collaborative partner to plug into this space, some other tenant space. And they've been having conversations with some different entities, but there's no final commitment on that. So this is all newly claimed space looking out onto the river and the Riverwalk. I tell you, if I had enough if I had a need for this much space, I'd plug into this one, because this is gonna be one of the best places in town. And then in doing that, we're proposing to build this deck area off of that. So each of these is a, aluminum storefront, floor to ceiling, glass with a door coming out onto a deck. And the deck would be done simple. SHPO's office likes us to, if we're gonna do a deck in a historic district, keep it simple, wood framed, wood decking, and I say wood decking, the actual decking will use a wood composite material just for life cycle costing. And then the railing, a cable railing system. So again, SHPO's office likes us to do, rather than doing a cutesy little spindly wood railing, they actually prefer us to do a cable railing. Cable railing is very thin and non-obtrusive, and keeps the sight lines down. So that's it in a nutshell. I need to mention a couple of things. We're hopefully going to get college approval to release this for bidding here in not too long. This is slated at being about a 6-month project. So depending on the results of our bidding and how they align with our cost projections, we're plugging in those bid documents a couple of bid alternates. So if we have to scale back, if we, for some reason, have some unfavorable bids, we could scale down if we had to. And this element right here on the north, this is on the riverside, we may not do this cornice line. Obviously, this, like I said, that cornice line is 4.5 feet tall. It's not cheap. But there's a potential for a little bit of cost savings there by not developing this element and leaving the existing stucco and roof line like it is, and just paint it. And the second bid alternate that we have is this intermediate smaller crown line. It's right here that wraps around the south and east elevation and west elevation too. We're gonna have that bid out so we know what that line item cost is for that. And if we needed to scale back, then we would address that with a painted line as opposed to being able to tack that.
Just on the north side or all the way around?
That is actually, we do not have that going across the north side. It goes across the east, west, and south. The roof line drops down on that north side. You can see by these angles coming down. So to put the level of detailing with that crown going on that lower roof line, I think would throw off the proportions even further and make it feel squattier. So in an attempt to try to get the eye to feel like this building is taller than what it really is, on the north side, our opinion is carry that red color, that brick color, all the way up to that roof parapet line.
Looks like on the north side, there's 2 lines.
There are. So those are both painted lines.
Okay.
Yep. So I did bring. Pass these around.
See, I had a quick question. I came in a little late. There's I wouldn't call it a retaining wall, but there's a safety wall that's on facing the sidewalk.
Yep.
On your south side elevation, so that people don't tumble down the hill into the parking lot. Are you going to incorporate that as with a brick element as part of the structure, or is that going to be a separate?
Yeah, so Kyle, does that overhead projector work? Okay, maybe if you could pop that on. All right, can you zoom into, oops, I'll turn this around. Zoom into this area. There.
Yeah, a little weight there, huh?
Right, let's see, let me get it. Okay. Let's see. Get it back this way. there we go. So, that wall is, what's planned in the project is that, where there's the metal railings, they're rusted and in poor condition, and they're not 42 inches in height, which is what a guardrail by code should be. So, what we're looking to do is to pull that metal out, replace it with this new metal system. We've detailed it so it's somewhat complementary to what the city has going in other locations. It may not be exact, but it'll be similar. We'll paint it black.
Oh, okay.
And then the wall itself on the south side, so it'd be the sidewalk side, we're calling out for a cementitious coating. That would be similar to what the stucco would be on the building itself. The cost of doing that in a brick veneer is starting to add up. So, the proposal is that we would do that in a cementitious coating. Right now it's just raw concrete.
No.
And then we're placing a, stone cap
Oh, that'll be
on that
nice.
stuff. Because again, the top of that existing wall is not guardrail height. So, so it's I'll say it's a prudent approach to addressing that wall, both the appearance but also the life safety issues in a cost-effective way. Good question though, thank you for asking me that. And while we're on that though, at the far west end, which would be way down by the Elks, the drive just before the Elks. There is a sign there. It's all stuccoed, and I think right now it has big fish kind of rubbed off or something, whatever the business was there. So we do have that being bricked and a stone cap. And then I'm anticipating that there'd be some type of signage put on that. So kind of tie it all together, but relatively cost effective. On that brick that's being passed around, that's over here, that is a brick, it's what we call a thin brick. So that is the thickness of the brick. Shy of us having to go in and build foundations and brick ledges and brick ties and everything, this will provide us the ability to put brick on the existing structural frame. So it's a thin brick. Those pilasters that we're building out have some stepped reveal to this, but we're not gonna get, big 4-inch reveals. We'll get some stepping with this 3/4 inch. Any other questions?
Kendra, are you the architect on this project? I read in the paper that they're still bidding on an architect. Is that what?
No, they're not bidding on an architect. I think that there was some procedural questions, and so we have construction drawings done and ready for bidding on this project. Administratively, they need to the board asked the college president to formally approve my contract. So,
Okay. So we can expect this is what this is gonna look like. They're gonna hire another architect. It's gonna be completely different.
anything is possible, but I find that very hard to believe. No, I think that there was some procedural things, and I think that the newspaper probably did not reflect the intent of the conversation
Okay, so-
accurately.
Okay, thank you.
Can you speak about the connection of the deck to the existing Riverwalk, or will that be separate?
Sure. So, right now, our construction drawings are developed so that this new deck coming off this new lower level, would connect at the west end to where there's currently a set of stairs that come off of the covered parking area and go down to the Riverwalk. Then it would continue in the east direction and connect to an intermediate octagonal landing that the city has. So right at that corner as you're coming, just before you go across the bridge, at the corner of this building, there's an entrance down to the Riverwalk. It goes half a flight down, has an intermediate octagonal landing space, and then continues on down to the Riverwalk. We would connect to that landing area, okay? So, depending on what tenant ends up in here, we may or may not make that connection to that intermediate landing. okay? There's a school of thought that we'd like people to freely walk across here, and there's another school of thought that we would not want people to easily walk in front of our space for privacy, depending on what tenant is in there.
So if they didn't walk across in front, then would the existing step down to the Riverwalk be retained or rebuilt?
Yes, at the, right here, right,
Oh, only over there?
right there, yep. And then from a code standpoint, we would need to limit the length of this deck so that we only have one set of stairs, and so our occupancy on that deck dictates the length of that, so. But it-
Presently, doesn't that, at the bridge, doesn't that go down to the Riverwalk at
It-
that point?
It does right here,
Yeah. So
yep,
you're-
all the way down.
So going forward, the only way to get down would be to walk across the deck and down.
Nope, they would continue to walk down, you would have the option, I guess.
So it will still be there, the
Yep.
existing steps?
The existing would still stay,
Existing
just like it is. It's just the matter of, could you also come off of that intermediate landing and go across the front of this building or not? And I can respect, different potential tenants' opinions on whether they want public walking across this space or not.
So access to that lower space is only gonna be from the parking lot area.
Access from this lower level space is from the new entrance that we're creating off of the parking area, covered parking area. Or you could come in on the River Street level, and we have a set of stairs and elevator that would take you down to that lower level as well.
What are we looking at timeliness on this project?
Timeline?
Yeah, do they anticipate in getting started,
So, we're dealing with a public board, meaning the college's board, so we need their approvals. But if everything goes favorable, as we're anticipating it will, we're hoping to get this out for bids, and be able to get going on this in the springtime, I'll say midwinter, to early spring. I think I had mentioned, we're anticipating this is about a 6-month construction schedule.
So occupancy is for fall, is that the expectation?
Yep.
They hope to have classes there in the fall?
That would be great. So the college currently has college space out at the hospital when we built the educational center out there. But it's becoming more and more difficult for the college to schedule class time in that building. So that was part of motivating, them moving forward with this project, as well as the whole idea of that collaboration in business development, workforce development, economic development just has just the perfect fit between the chamber and their economic development, that they're doing, efforts that they're putting forth, Michigan Works and Workforce Development, and the college and training and education. So it's a great fit. So this will give the college a couple classroom spaces in here.
So
Just a
we're
couple?
finding
Two.
additional
Two.
sources.
This whole building will only have a couple of college level space.
We'll have
College
two
with
classrooms,
revenue and-
two classroom type spaces.
Uh-huh.
And then
That's
there's,
city built.
depending on, so Michigan Works has what we call a learning lab, so that's a component of the building. It has, I can't remember if it's 20 or 24 computer workstations. So there's flexibility and availability for workforce development using that, whether it's college instructed or Michigan Works instructed. And then there's also, as I mentioned, these small group rooms that range in size from 4 to 6 people space to 12-person space. So there are some classes that a college may, only have 10 or 12 people, so they could pop into those spaces. So they have some flexibility, but we have two traditional classroom type size spaces.
Is the expectation that the entire building will be utilized then with these various tenants and the college? Or will we-
Yes. Yes. Now, there are, in, the office space, there's some extra available spaces for other, similar collaborative type partners to plug into if they wanted to.
I'll say, just to clarify that the West Shore Community College owns the building at this
Correct.
time. And then is it a West Shore, is that a for-profit school or is it a nonprofit?
No, West Shore is a nonprofit community college.
And then the tenants, do you expect them to be nonprofit structures?
Those are
or-
nonprofits. So Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce, Networks Northwest, which also facilitates Michigan Works.
Mhm.
And there's the example I gave earlier, and I'm not sure, Aaron, if you were here or not.
I came in a little late.
Did you?
so-
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
Down in Ludington, United Way, Pennies from Heaven Foundation, Salvation Army, Red Cross, True North, they're all in a similar type of building like this. And the college isn't part of that particular arrangement, but any of those types of entities would certainly be able to fit in here, if it worked for them.
Yeah, and do we have the presence of those tenants already in this community?
Yes, we do.
We do, so that that they are already established tenants in the city of Manistee?
That's correct. So Michigan Works has a presence here, and the Chamber of Commerce at the highway on Cypress Street, just before you go across the bridge.
Yeah,
So
and my questions have nothing to do with, the approval of the facade by
Mhm.
means, I just, I'm curious.
no, that's great. The more that we are able to present the direction and the vision that the college as well as the collaborative partners have, the better that is. This is just a very exciting approach to delivery of services from all of these entities. And doing it in a collaborative fashion under one roof is a great thing.
I know you don't know the answer to this, but when the chambers in there and the ones you know about are in there, still leave some vacant space, how many people per day are gonna mill through the building, would you give a guess at?
I think it'll vary widely, is it class time and the college has, students plugging in there? Or is it just, general 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday? So that'll vary. I can't
If you have
answer.
2 classrooms full of kids, that's 30 per classroom maybe, and
20-ish, I think most of the college classes run around 15 to 20, and an instructor. Crystal Young facilitates their business development, and so she works closely already with not just Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce, she works very closely with Ludington, Scottville Area of Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Office in both those communities. And so Crystal will be plugging in here, a couple days a week. Networks Northwest will have a couple people in here, full-time, regular basis. People, again, that varies how many people are trickling in, but it mentioned the Learning Lab is equipped for, again, I apologize, I don't remember if it's 20, 22, or 24 workstations, computer stations where they do training.
it's like 50 or 60 people a day then typically could be in there.
Do we have an approximate cost
Uh,
on this rendering? Not to hold you to anything at all? or-
Yeah, so construction costs for this project are, I think, $3.2 million. So, the college is making a substantial investment in the community.
But none of that's dependent on a new millage or anything like that.
Pardon?
That's not dependent on getting a new mill passed or something along those
Nope.
lines.
No, no,
But it's taking it off the tax rolls, right?
pardon?
It's taking it off the tax rolls.
I think I got $1 million grant, did they not, or you got
They have $1 million donor.
donor, right?
They have an anonymous donation that their donor has the same vision of the impact that this facility can have in bringing together business development, workforce development, and employability skills to people in our community and putting it in our downtown community.
Well, I think it's, as being a student in the past, having educational center that's smack dab in a downtown where there's, the places to go and eat and drink and, poke around in little shops. I think that it's gonna be wonderful for the downtown vendors. And the students, I imagine, will, certainly be, on the footpaths down there. I think it will certainly, make the downtown much more vibrant. And, as a student, nobody ever wants to bring their sack lunch, so they're more inclined to, buy locally, and, I think it will certainly be a benefit to the community.
Thank you, Aaron. I couldn't agree with you more.
I have a question, actually. In the lower picture of the existing conditions, I don't know if we can see it though. Hold on. It seems that the white fencing stops at a certain point in front of the building on the riverside. Is there any talk about extending that fencing for liability purposes, or will it just continue to be the same fencing line then?
Those, to quickly answer, those are actually docking spots where you can go ahead and dock a boat. And I think the city controls a portion of that.
So those will stay the way they are though?
Yes.
Okay.
So including this white railing coming down here, these steps, those are, the city has put those in place as access to that Riverwalk. So those will stay just as they are, and then we'll build our new deck off of that. So, but yeah, it's exactly what Aaron's saying is this is all city-owned Riverwalk property.
And I know that because during Hops and Props, my boat was one of the vintage boats that was anchored along that way, and the city has it nicely set up for that.
So go ahead, I'm sorry. You finished?
I am.
Okay. That lower level where you've got all the windows facing the river, that's right now gonna be vacant. That could be,
I would like to speculate off record that I think by the time this building is ready for occupancy, that space would potentially have occupancy for a tenant.
I don't know why the city doesn't put everything in there. The planning commission,
The planning,
center,
yeah.
have everything in one building.
Initially, we did have conversations and the visitor center was at the table. And I think that group deemed that this wasn't quite a right fit for them.
Yeah.
But they were certainly invited to the table.
Okay.
Anything interior-wise that you're associated with the building?
Oh.
Changes or, I
Oh,
mean,
lots.
that's
Right
what-
down to picking out the chairs and tables and workstations and, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so this is 100% gut job, so on the interior. So,
So that figure you gave me though, that I asked her, the approximate, is that for everything or just the exterior construction right now? we're talking
that's
about?
construction cost for the building, so.
Interior and exterior?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So interior-wise, obviously we have build-out of rooms and spaces and an elevator and toilet rooms and workrooms and copy areas and break rooms and so forth. Reception desks. And then gonna try to, on the interior, we're not simulating a historic building by any means on this. But through I'll say the public areas, meaning the lobby and gathering areas, we're gonna have floating clouds of ceilings and then exposed steel construction above. I'm envisioning that exposed steel construction, which we've done on other projects, you've been in buildings, I'm sure, that had exposed steel construction that are typically painted white or black, just to simulate a historic feature maybe. I'm envisioning we're painting that metallic color, like a platinum. So it starts to look like maybe an old tin ceiling feeling in a
And,
contemporary way.
Just for speed, what are you asking of us today? Do you want a certificate of appropriateness today or
Yes.
is next month okay?
I would hope that we could take action today. If there's any concerns, certainly point those out to me, but if we could get certificate of appropriateness, that would be what we'd be
Yeah,
asking
you realize
for.
we haven't seen this until today,
Okay,
at 4 o'clock.
okay.
So nothing yet, really.
Is there anything I can explain or help?
I don't know, it's up to the,
I have no problem with it. I would move that we could approve the application for the certificate of appropriateness as described in our application and the details of the prints received.
Yeah, I'd wanted to comment that I think that this is a wonderful example of infill. This is considered to be an potential infill space in the downtown. You've done a wonderful job with your rendering, and I can tell that you're passionate about how our downtown looks, and I thank you for bringing this to us. And I would like to second Dick's motion.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we grant a certificate of appropriateness for this project. Is there any more discussion? You call the roll?
Dick Olby,
Yes?
Bill Connor,
Yes,
Lee Trucks,
Yes.
Ron Helmholdt,
Yes.
Dennis Otto,
Yes.
Aaron Bennett.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So, just from a housekeeping procedural going forward standpoint, I do recognize that final colors, once we're ready to make those exact selections, we'll put forward. I think Mark and Kyle are the reviewers of that? Okay. And then signage, as we already discussed, will come to you separately, be presented separately.
Kendra, is there anybody that, would you be appropriate for you to present to us every couple of months the status of this project?
I certainly could if you would like to, sure.
I think that'd be great if you could.
Okay, if, when Kyle has, needs me on the agenda, just coordinate.
I can specify that in the certificate too, maybe every 3 months or something.
Okay,
Is that what you're, is that-
then I'll look for you to just
Reach out to you.
notify me, reach
Yeah.
out to me, and, yeah, certainly would be happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, old business. Oh, I'm sorry, new business. Set 2020 meeting dates. I think you've all been given a list of the proposed meeting dates. Personally, I have no objections to any of those. Seems,
I put the January and July meetings a week after the specific holidays is noted. The second Wednesday in those 2 months would be the date for the 2020 due to the New Year and the July 4th Forest Festival week being a busy week in town. Other than that, all the other months are the first Wednesdays, and it would still be the same 4 p.m. meeting time in this area, the council chambers.
I'm okay with these dates also, just would note that I won't be here for the February meeting for whatever that little bit is worth.
I make a motion that we approve the dates as set.
Also move.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the presented schedule of meetings for 2020. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, next item, old business, permit review.
So before you is the outstanding permits that are currently on the books for the city. I haven't received word from 337 River Street, so I'm gonna make a stop there and send a certified letter so that they know about the status of their project. Same with the 100 Washington Avenue project, hasn't had any email or phone response. Those are the only two that I'm waiting on. The others have until at least May of next year, while the Jeff Gordon, Paul Rosemary project have been final extension until mid-June of next year.
The latest final.
The latest final extension.
Do we need to take any action on any of these?
fact that they've expired, so there's no longer a certificate of appropriateness in place for either.
Right, so in that regard, if they haven't made any significant progress, then they would need to reapply for the appropriateness. Is that what we're all understanding?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Do you let them know that they need to reapply?
I've let them know that their permit's expired and to reach out to me at the further steps moving forward. I will make sure that they know that they need to reapply for the appropriateness if no changes have been made, any progress towards what they've already applied for initially.
Is the 337 River, is that the old electrical?
It is.
Okay. And they're expired as well, right?
Right, yep. So 337 River and 100 Washington Avenue are expired currently. Therefore, I will reach out to them and make a note to reapply for appropriateness through the HGC.
When they reapply, does that mean that there's a new application fee?
There is no application fee, though I assume that if they reapply, they would have to reapply actually a new application. Is that what you're asking, or a fee? I don't know of any fee for a certificate of appropriateness.
Is there a fee for the original application?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not cashing any checks for any of these, and I'm not getting any mail made out to any entity, so I would assume no.
If I can speak,
Please.
there never has been a fee for any type of certificate of appropriateness, and thus, as Lee mentioned at a previous meeting, we really don't have any teeth. If someone had to apply and spend money on it, they might get, poke them a little bit to get the actual work done, because they know they've got to spend money to reapply. But there has never been a fee.
So where do we stand if they don't reapply?
That if their building hasn't had anything done with the HGC, and if it's blight, it would have to be handled through the city's blight ordinance. Is that what you're asking?
At that point, they'd have no building permit to do.
If they didn't have a building permit, right. So it's contingent on a building permit. In other communities, as we'll talk about a little later, their building departments attune with the HGC, and you can't get a building permit without an HGC permit in a lot of these different communities. Though as our building department in the cities handled by the state right now, though it's changing in January, they don't have that cohesion, if you will, currently. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So as the city transitions to a third party, another third party building permitter, they'll be able to essentially affect that if you don't have an HGC permit, you can't be granted a building permit. Does that make sense too?
Yeah.
So the city's transitioning in January 1st to, I think it's safe built. I'm not positive though. They're moving to a different building permitting entity. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that'll have a little bit more teeth.
Yeah, that'll be, in my opinion, that'll be better. It'll be better and easier to enforce the building permits because of the HGC permit.
Would be my recommendation that, one, we instigate some kind of a application fee.
I agree with that.
And two, that we don't extend, but if they wanted to reapply, they could reapply.
I think we talked, yeah, we kind of brought that up last meeting, that, you know, if you let it expire, there's gotta be some kind of consequence. Either you have to resubmit new drawings, because you don't know what's going on. You just can't have these things going and going and going. And, you know, based on the first drawing, 3 or 5 years down the road, that doesn't even make any sense. I don't know if anybody would allow that to go on without some kind of that long a period, or even just within a year. You should have, in my opinion, you should either have a fee to reapply, and if you let it expire, we could always send out a notice to somebody, whoever it may entail, your building permit is expiring within 1 month. You either need to come and reapply, or we need new drawings, and there's gonna be a $100 or $200 application fee to reapply.
Definitely, I agree with that. And as we're transitioning,
It keeps everybody in the league and on the same page, rather, again, than letting it go for years just to walk in, say, I need a new permit, and boom, we issue it. And then, You don't know what's going on in there, nobody's going checking that week to week, month to month. We're basing it on the same drawing that somebody submitted 5 years ago. I mean, you know, we're just taking it on fact that they're doing what they said 5 years ago they're gonna do. I mean, I like to think that, but you know,
Right. As we're transitioning, this is a good time to bring this up for the new building permitter to get on the same page with the recommendation that we need some sort of fee and more of enforcement agency in the HDC, and to get on the same page with the new building permitter. And I can help facilitate that to get that into fruition.
also, if we kind of pursue that, I'd like to make a recommendation, that if you would expire and you apply to extend it, the building should be inspected at that point where you're at, I think, and what's been done. And so far, everything's been up to what you're supposed to do. Not just blatantly hand it out, and keep going. Who's checking on what's being done in there? I mean, you know, I know we want to think it's all to code, it's all done right, but who is, you know, when that length of time is going by and by and by,
Well,
I don't know why you can't tie in a building inspection. If you let it expire, well, we gotta come in and look it over and see what's done and what you're reapplying for and what needs to be done in here, and if everything's done properly so far, anyway.
I'm pretty sure the HDC handles the exteriors of the buildings.
yeah, but not the interiors, so, I mean,
Well, plumbing, electrical, I mean, there's all kinds of issues interior rather than just exterior too.
Definitely.
but that's not part of the permits that, you know, everything, we're just looking at the veneer of the buildings.
Right.
And maintain historical features.
Correct.
But, you know, those elements that typically, like a building inspector would address, I mean, we don't have authority over that. But, no, I absolutely get what you're saying about, you know, these permits that have been dragged out for, you know,
Yeah, years,
10 years, and, you know, it's annoying to have to keep on recreating just trotting over this terrain and not seeing a lot of progress.
I think it's just for our benefit to know why it's dragging on that long. You know, you're reapplying 5 years down the road, well, what's taking 5 years? You know, not just, I need a time, well, what's taking so long?
Yeah, I agree. I think,
I
you
mean,
know,
that's kind of ridiculous, you can build a small city in 5 years. I mean,
I agree. We should, you know, we don't have anything to do with the interior of the building, but we should look at the exterior and see what's been done and see if they've even started to do anything.
Well,
A case in point might be, one that I don't see on here is the music room.
Oh, the music vault, their permit, they've finished their work. So last meeting, I took it off the outstanding permits because it's been completed. It's not outstanding anymore.
So they've completed it.
That's closed.
So closed, yeah.
it's closed out.
That's not an open issue.
The Taco About It and the Music Vault were the last two recent ones to be closed out. The rest are in progress, which is the outstanding list. But I do agree with what everyone's saying about instigating a permit fee, not having extensions without consequences, and being that we're transitioning to a new permitting platform, I think this is a great time to bring this discussion up and have that discussion with the new permitting, the new building permitters, and kind of get on the
Is
same.
there some action that we can take at this time, or do we want to just refer this to you, Kyle, to come up with some kind of a verbiage that we can deal with at the January meeting?
I guess I could take it upon myself to take your recommendation without having a formal roll call or vote to,
Is it the consensus of the board that we request that Kyle come up with a proposal to clean up our permitting procedure and come up with a fee structure and just clean the whole thing up, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
would, I mean.
Well, without
absolutely.
objection, I'd say go to it.
okay.
Yeah, because if we give somebody a permit and it expires in 9 months, and it comes back in 9 months and they haven't touched it, why would you ever want to give another permit?
Sure.
So, you know,
that's kind of my point, we keep reissuing, well, where do you stop and say, hey, you know, what are you doing over there?
Right.
I mean,
All right, I'll take it upon the recommendation of the board to connect the new building permitters, the new building permit agents to the HTC, so we're all on the same page regarding more enforcement agency, as well as having, permit fees for different certificates. I'll report back to you in January about, the progress of that.
All right, moving on, public comments and communications concerning items not on the agenda. Correspondence.
See, I have some correspondence to extend to Commissioner Trucks.
It is with regret that I tender my resignation today to the Historic District Commission, City of Manistee. In early 2020, I'll be moving from our Michigan community and will no longer be able to perform my commission duties. I trust that you will understand and readily accept my resignation. I thank the City of Manistee for allowing me to sit and serve my community these past 4 years. It's been my great honor and pleasure. I wish you and my fellow commissioners all the best this coming year of 2020. Aaron Bennett.
Sorry, Aaron, we're not gonna approve it, you can't move.
You know, I will share with you, it's for family reasons. My wife has a sick family member. I do have the opportunity to take on a position in Connecticut that's in her hometown where her parents are, and I've always said families first, and, Manistee is certainly families, we're coming together here as a family of commissioners to, take care of our child, which is the Historic District Commission, and I trust that you'll understand, my decision here, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry to hear it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'd like to personally thank you. I found your participation on the Historic District Commission thoughtful, and the broadness of your experience was especially helpful, I think, in a number of different occasions, and we'll miss you.
Well, thank you so much.
Good luck with the traffic.
Yeah, it'll be different.
What city?
Let's see, I'm going to be out in New Britain, Connecticut.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's a nice area.
Yeah, it'll be nice. We'll be living in a little neighboring area called Farmington. And, yeah, I did, I am excited. There's a wealth of historic buildings, New Britain too, and, I expect to, be participating, with their historic district at some point.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Yep, good luck, Aaron.
Thank you so much.
Any additional correspondence?
None.
Yes, I'd like to get some.
What?
I'd like to get some.
Any way to get some?
Yes,
Oh,
like my mail and my email or
Oh, it's
whatever.
not getting to him.
oh,
This is like the third time.
I,
It is not getting to you.
do you want me to I can personally deliver the next one.
Also, wasn't this meeting canceled at one time?
No.
I got an email 2 weeks ago. It says, due to the lack of things to talk about, just to put it in real quick terms, it wasn't that terminology, that the December meeting for the district will be canceled.
Huh.
The November meeting was
There's
canceled.
been no meeting canceled.
So that,
Bring
so,
in the email, I'll make a copy.
Did you get the November one? That the November meeting was canceled?
No, this was for,
December.
because I just got it like 2 weeks ago. And actually, the only reason I found out it wasn't, my wife looked up on the City of Manistee, what's going on, and this was on there, and I'm saying, what are you talking about? It was canceled. So I don't know what's quite going on there, but,
I'd check your email provider.
yeah, I mean.
regardless, we can
And I
talk.
go through my spam and everything just to make sure, and so, I'd like to just get some correspondence if it's okay.
No, definitely, it's not a
We're gonna
purposeful
double check
reason
on
you're
that
not
because
getting
we
it.
corrected that.
All right,
Thought we corrected
additional
that, too.
correspondence, you have in your packets a letter from the Michigan Historic Preservation Network. You've had a chance to look at it, and decide whether or not this is, do we currently Remember?
I don't think so, to be honest with you.
So obviously, they want us to join,
Yep.
and if you will look at their,
When you,
their membership renewal, it looks like it costs $150 to join.
You know. kind
Yep.
of a
It's $150 up to 10 members, so if everyone in the commission were to put in whatever that is, 150 divided by 6 or 5 or whatever, that could be the membership fee, or we could figure out a way to get permit fees for different certificates and apply them to that. It's up to, I'm not sure what you want to do. If you like to join as a commission or individually, it'd be very cost effective to get up to 10 members as the group rate. But for 150, you get much more information through the MHPN, including different trainings and workshop potentials that are available for education and trainings and presentations as showcased in the packet, which could be very helpful to our success in the HGC here in Manistee.
I think you're saying the city therefore will not pay for it, right?
I basically, saying, I don't know where the funds would come from for it. I mean, if it's something that you'd like me to look into, I could find a way maybe.
Maybe we can draft funds that we receive for applications towards something like this.
or partially anyway, take $5 and everything. Yeah, I mean, say, well, seriously, to fund anything we need,
Right.
based only on that anyway, just, you know.
With your experience with the different historic preservation organizations, do you think that this is a worthwhile organization and would be a valuable thing for us?
Yes, absolutely. They're the state leader in, different preservation entities and arenas, and I think it'd be very valuable. Regarding the permit fees, we don't have any currently.
Right
So
now.
once those become into fruition and a schedule is set in place and approved, then potentially a kickdown could go to this. But that would not happen, and, by next month, it would be.
Oh, and this is just me looking forward.
Long-term, yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
Why don't we table this until after you've come up with your proposed way of handling the coordination of building?
I think we should request that the city
Well, that's okay too.
allocate the funds to join.
Okay, at the next city staff meeting on Tuesday morning, I'll bring it up and see what the consensus is, and I'll be in touch.
I'm sorry, I don't have that. What was the cost? Because I don't have.
$150
For everybody,
for all of us.
for the group.
For 10 members on the Historic District Commission.
Just gonna fixing that one pothole over here. Throw the 150 over here.
Are most of their classes in Lansing,
Say again?
their workshops?
How much are they?
No, no,
Oh,
are most of them in Lansing? Do they have to travel to Lansing to?
I'm not positive on that, though I do know that some are remote and mobile, but I'm not positive when and where they are. This is all to be determined.
But there's fees for each workshop as well as your membership, right?
I think so, yeah. There's more information at the website at the bottom and the phone number, but I do think that there's more fees, yeah. But being a member benefits you the ability to, garner more information, have more resources to connect to, as well as to reach out to if you had any questions, to help the HGC expand and grow. So I'll look into that at city staff and let you know more about it accordingly.
Okay, item number 10, reports. Looks like the only person we've got here is Mark.
I have nothing.
Does the DDA executive director know that she is supposed to?
Yep, and she regretfully is at a training in Grand Rapids for this meeting. She emailed me that. I wanted to let you know that she is aware of the meetings and will be attending when her schedule allows, I guess. So she wanted me to let you know she's regretfully not in town today.
Okay, item 11.
I have a report really quickly about I reached out to a few different HGCs around the state, including Ypsilanti, Escanaba, Boyne City, Washtenaw County, and Holland. The two that got back to me were Ypsilanti and Holland regarding the certificates expiring and how they handle it. Both of them have building officials and the building permitting through their cities, which is what we're moving towards. And that if a person or a project didn't have a valid HGC permit, then their building permit would not be valid. Therefore, they could not suffice the work. So this is something we're moving towards. I just wanted to let you know, as I requested last meeting, that I'd reach out to different state agencies and different historic district commissions, and that's how they handle it. So it's exciting that we're moving towards that regarding the building permitting, and it should be helpful for our city moving forward. So that's the report I wanted to share with everyone today.
Great. Any other items? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Second, and we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.